Strange things can happen out on the road, but few moments are as gripping or as heart-wrenching as what Officer Joseph Puglia experienced one ordinary day on a busy Florida highway. It started like any other shift. Officer Puglia was heading to the police station, thinking about the day ahead, when something happened that shook him to the core and later captured the hearts of people around the world. As a police officer, Joseph Puglia had been trained to stay calm under pressure. He had dealt with emergencies, accidents, and high-stakes situations. But that day, what unfolded in front of his eyes brought out a raw, instinctive reaction even he hadn't expected. He was driving along the interstate when it happened, a blur of motion on the road ahead, a dog. The animal sprinted across several lanes of fast-moving traffic. Before Puglia could react, a car struck the dog. Shockingly, the vehicle didn't stop. It continued on as if nothing had happened, leaving the dog lying still in the middle of the highway. Officer Puglia immediately slammed on his brakes. He swerved his cruiser sideways across the lane, blocking traffic. His dash cam, already recording, captured the urgency and heroism of what happened next. Without hesitation, he jumped out of his vehicle and ran to the dog's side. The dog was motionless. Blood pooled around its small body. Puglia dropped to his knees, gently checking for signs of life. At first, there was nothing. The officer feared the worst. He was just about to rise when he noticed something, an almost imperceptible movement. A breath, the dog was still alive. That was all Puglia needed to see. His instincts kicked in. There wasn't time to call animal control or wait for backup. Every second counted. He sprinted back to his car, grabbed an emergency blanket, and returned to the injured pup. With the utmost care, he wrapped the dog in the blanket, cradling it like a child. He then placed it in his cruiser, where hardened criminals often sat, and made what may have been the gentlest transport the car had ever carried. Over the radio, he contacted dispatch and urgently requested help locating the nearest animal hospital. They directed him to Pinellas Animal Hospital and notified the staff that an emergency patient was en route. When Puglia arrived, the veterinary team was already waiting outside. They rushed the dog inside, preparing for immediate surgery. Though the officer wanted to stay, his duty called. His shift wasn't over. But before leaving, someone at the clinic asked what they should call the dog. Looking at the bloodied animal who had somehow survived the impossible, Officer Puglia said the name that came instantly to mind, Lucky. Back on duty, Puglia couldn't stop thinking about the dog. He had seen too many stories like this end in tragedy. So, the moment his shift ended, he drove straight back to the animal hospital. What he found amazed him. Lucky was awake. He was sitting up. And when he saw the officer, his tail began to wag with such joy that it brought tears to Puglia's eyes. The little dog he had feared might die in his arms was not only alive but recovering. Lucky had endured serious injuries but had made it through surgery and was expected to heal fully. But one question loomed: what would happen to Lucky next? The hospital scanned him for a microchip, nothing. He had no collar, no tags, no way to identify his family. He seemed well-fed, so it was likely he had a home at some point. But with no one stepping forward, Lucky was soon discharged to a local animal shelter. The shelter was determined to find his original owners. They posted his story online, hoping someone would recognize the dog that had miraculously survived. Eventually, a family came forward. They claimed Lucky was theirs and said he'd escaped after a delivery driver left the gate open. They even showed photos, images of Lucky playing in a backyard, lounging indoors, and enjoying what looked like a loving home. The shelter handed Lucky over, thinking the story had a happy ending, but something felt off. The shelter worker asked to conduct a follow-up visit. The family kept dodging the request. Instead, they sent more photos, almost too perfect. Something didn't sit right. Finally, the shelter worker went to the address they'd provided. The truth was devastating. The yard was barren. There was Lucky, chained outside, under the hot sun, with no water, no food, and no shelter. The photos had been fake, carefully edited social media content designed to look like the dog was part of a happy family. In reality, they were using Lucky to gain followers and engagement online. Authorities quickly intervened. The dog was removed, and the family was fined for neglect and fraud. Once again, Lucky was back at the shelter, but this time, he wouldn't stay long. The staff knew who to call: Officer Puglia. When he heard what had happened, he didn't hesitate for a second. He returned to the shelter, and when Lucky saw him, it was as if no time had passed. The dog lit up, tail wagging, eyes wide, body trembling with joy. This time, Officer Puglia wasn't just there to help. He was there to bring Lucky home, for good. Adopted Lucky and gave him the forever home he truly deserved. A home where he would be safe, loved, and never used as a prop again. From that day on, Lucky lived up to his name, not just for surviving that highway, but for finding the one human who would never give up on him. And Officer Puglia? He didn't just rescue a dog, he gained a lifelong friend.